Thank you very much indeed for this very enthusiastic and convincing presentation. I think in the next room there were also some an audience that was very enthusiastic about it. It seems to have stopped. Sorry, Andre, for your presentation if it doesn't raise that same level of enthusiasm next room, but we'll wait. Well, the growing demand and need to transform both the production and the consumption aspects of energy provides a transition to actually different possible groups. One is digital innovation, the other is global demographic developments, but the one everyone thinks of the most immediately is food security. And for that purpose, Andre Rhoen will be providing the presentation.
Yes, thank you, Jean-Luc. Yeah, I'm not Mehdi, I'm not Julia, so you haven't noticed. The first thing we did is we changed the name of the committee. Right, that's where we started. We call it now Food Security and Nutrition Committee, and I'll come back to that in a minute. When you talk about food, you talk about people, and I'll spend a few words on who these people are and what they need. When you talk about food, you're talking about bringing food from farm to fork, right? And I'll spend some time on the food chain, the food system, and its challenges and opportunities. And thirdly, at the end, I'll talk about what's to change and where to start. Do I have a pointer? Yes. Yeah. We came up with what we call the 1-5-1 model. For a minute we thought we added some great new insight to the field of nutrition research, but Jessica quickly told us that this is not entirely new. This concept is used by more people. The 1 billion affluent people that you see on the right, that's us. We have choices, we are relatively wealthy, we have the power to take action. We have a long life expectancy, a low disease risks, etc. If you go to the left of the scheme, you see the 1 billion people almost that go to bed hungry every day. They are typically the rural or urban poor people, and they have very little choice when it comes to diet, when it comes to lifestyle. They have a high mortality rate, they have a high level of infectious diseases, often given from mother to child, a high stunting and wasting percentage. 1 in 5 children in developed countries is stunted, meaning too short, or wasted, meaning too much underweight for their age. They have a low quality and low diverse diet. And when we talk about nutrition or the lack of nutrition, we often talk about these people. However, there is a large group of people in the middle, the 5 billion that we call the double burden of malnutrition. And they consist of a group of people that have enough calories but not the essential vitamins and micronutrients, but also 2 billion people that are overweight, even obese, right? And then there is a third group there that is people who in countries like India, China, become more affluent and change their diet, eat more meat, for instance, eat more dairy. Yeah? This is a very large group that we cannot ignore. Yeah? And this is also a group that has a big impact, for instance, on climate change, yeah? Or on healthcare costs in the countries where they live once they become obese, right? So this 1-5-1 model is, I think, for us, the way we think now about the people when we talk about nutrition. What you typically see, and I hope the pointer works, is that people move from going to bed hungry to double burden to affluent. Yeah? This group has actually decreased by 200 million over the past 10, 15 years. What you also see is that the group here, us, we can influence, let's say, the nutritional status of the people here and the people here. So we can take action, we can change things. Now, food chains and food systems. We made a very simple example. We said it's production, processing and distribution, marketing and retail, and consumption. And there's a number of drivers that influence this chain. One is climate change. Droughts, floods influence, let's say, the productivity of the land and the livestock. Urbanization. 70% of people live or will live in cities in 2015. Demography. We grow older and there's more of us going forward. Policies and institutions can have an impact. And digitalization. I will not go into all of these solutions that we identified here, because on the next slide we actually choose a few where we say we should focus on and we should start with. If you talk about the 1 billion go to bed hungry and the 5 billion double burden people, what we need there is implement smart, climate smart agriculture. And that means, for instance, let's say giving more opportunities, more chances to smallholder farmers, make sure that they have more diversity in their crops, more diversity in their livestock, but also more diversity in, let's say, in their work, meaning if there's one member of the family farming, another one should do something else. That's an example of climate smart agriculture. Again, when you talk about going to bed hungry, double burdened, we need to increase production, distribution, and access to nutritious foods and fresh foods, like fruits, vegetables, and animal source foods in the global food system. Because what you see, I was in Vietnam just a few weeks ago, and what people eat there more and more is these noodle soups from a package, right? And that's their dinner, right? And that's not at all what we want. Then in the go to bed hungry, we need to promote nutrition in the first 1,000 days, meaning 9 months before birth and 2 years after. Because if you don't get it right there and children are underdeveloped, you will never fix it. Whatever you do in the 10, 20, 30 years. Yeah? So that's very important, both for the mothers and for the young child. We should incentivize the food and beverage industry for the 5 billion double burden people to prioritize healthy nutrition, rather than selling food with a lot of salt, a lot of sugar, a lot of fats. Yeah. And then we should use technology to provide more information to consumers, and there we have an interlinkage with the digitalization committee. You can use Facebook to really reach people. And as a company, for instance, we do that already. Yeah? And then let's not forget, ladies and gentlemen, we are the advocate of change, not the people on the left or in the middle. It's us. Yeah? It starts with us. Thank you.